Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. So today we're going to talk to you about acoustic guitars and Tonewoods. Tonewood is something that, it's a big debate, especially on solid body electric guitars, which I personally believe it doesn't exist. However, on acoustic guitars, it does actually exist, and I'm all for it, and so is pretty much everybody else in agreement that Tonewood actually is a real thing on acoustic guitars. And so when they mix certain woods together, they create different tone characteristics to the guitar. Mid levels, treble levels, and bass levels. Okay? And the same happens with the actual shape of the guitar determines how it's going to sound. Now some people say a cutaway versus a dreadnought style body, no difference. Well, there is a difference. Because once you start taking wood away, you're now changing the entire dynamics and frequency responses of the body, okay? You're changing sustain levels, and the list goes on and on and on. So yeah, there's a difference between a cutaway and a dreadnought. If you were to take, let's put two guitars together, let's call them both the same model, okay? So we're going to call this one what it is, the OMCX1KE Cutaway Acoustic Electric. Then we'll take an OMCX1KE Dreadnought Acoustic Electric, both being made out of the exact same materials too, or what we'd like to assume are the exact same materials. And there's going to be a very definitive difference in sound. We know this. There has to be. Okay, so even if you kept the body thicknesses exactly the same, but the only thing you were to change would be cutaway versus a dreadnought. Okay, would they sound the same? No. Okay, it's because of that cutaway that's making that huge impact on that guitar between the two differences, right? But the other thing that's also changing the sound, let's take that dreadnought now, and let's just cut away that piece and turn it into a cutaway, still leaving all the other same materials intact, but then of course we're going to have to patch it up and we're going to have to make that a whole piece again, right? Will the two guitars sound the same? No. One guitar to the next of what appears to be the exact same model will never sound the same. It's not just because we cannot make something the same repetitively. It's because wood is never the same, okay? Tensile strengths, densities, everything. This guitar is basically what is called repurposed wood. And so you'll see there's literally hundreds of layers of wood mashed together under high pressure lamination process that makes this really nice pattern actually in the wood. But it's Martin's way of helping the, not wasting type stuff, materials. So high pressure laminate sides and back as well. I can't remember the exact wood types. Refer to my original video. I think I've got it all listed there. Does have a solid top though. Top is solid. The fretboard is a new type of material, and the same with the bridge. It's more denser and more stable than actual rosewood would be. Okay, and the same with the body, the neck. It's a lot more stable, okay? And it gives a certain characteristic or tone to the guitar, along with the nut and the saddle, and of course your pegs. Now, I can alter the sound of this guitar totally different by just changing the strings, okay? And some people would say, well, then that would mean the Tonewood doesn't exist. Well, sure it does, because with those strings, if I get another guitar that's the same guitar, built the same way, except I use all normal, solid woods and rosewood fretboard and all that other jazz, and not using pressured laminate, but using solid wood or other types of laminate wood, even other types of laminate wood, and making it to all as close as I can possibly get it to the exact same dimensions everywhere, will the guitar sound different? Yes, it will sound completely different. It would probably make or break me buying this one. I might have to go to the other one. because I may like it even better. Even with the same strings, I may like it better because of the wood. So there is truth and fact into Tonewood on acoustic guitars, but there is an ending point where things do change. When you're dealing with an acoustic electric, or you're miking up an acoustic, or you're just adding in like one of those sound hole pickups, you change the entire dynamics of the sound of the guitar. So if I took the electronics out of this, or bought this without electronics, and the same guitar, same model, but no electronics, the guitar would sound different, because here I've added more meat into the cavity, so I'm screwing around with the frequency vibrations, okay? And so the same thing goes for the plastic. It's going to resonate and vibrate, and it's going to put its frequencies in there as you're playing. Take it out, leave it a big empty hole, it's going to change the sound of the guitar again. Okay? Don't have any electronics at all, but everything else the same, it's going to be a different sounding guitar, even with the same strings, same everything else. Okay? Little things can make big changes. Now when you plug in an acoustic electric guitar, you change the sound. Not of the physical guitar where you're hearing the guitar yourself, because we're right up close here. That won't change when you plug it in. What's going to change is the amplified signal is not going to be the same as what you hear here. So let's turn on the preamp here. Now I've got my bass, mid, and treble all in the center. I've got my notch level in the middle. I got my brilliance. Well, we're going to turn the brilliance right off. And I got my phase button pushed in. And I'm using my X5 U2 wireless, and I am hooked into my Roland Cube 60 amp over here. That one. Now I've removed the phase. Let's drop the middle right out, and we'll leave the treble in the middle. Let's bring the treble up. Treble's at 3 o'clock, and we'll bring the mid-range to 9. Okay, so now that's amplifying the signal to the amp. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put it through my studio system. So we'll start with the notch on, brilliance off, and everything in the middle. Now you're hearing it strictly through the studio speakers. Let's turn that volume off. Barely anything is coming out of my amp. But when I turn the studio speakers up, it drowns out the amp. Kill that signal, back to the acoustic. So that's what happens between miking up and not miking it up, going direct in, and of course its own sound. So now I can do this all day long with all my acoustics, and we can run through them all, but that would make for a very long and boring video. But all my acoustics are different. They're made out of different materials, and they're different guitars, period. So what dictates the sound of your guitar? Well, in the case of an acoustic guitar, the material that the thing is made out of to begin with, okay, so whatever they use for the neck, the body, the top, whether it's a two-piece back or a single-piece back, whether it's a multi-split back makes a difference in sound and resonance. You know, bridge material, your pins, if they're plastic, bone, whatever they happen to be, your saddle, nut material, these all make a difference. Scale length of the guitar is a major thing too, you know, because the shorter that the guitar is, the difference in the sound. Body thickness, body dimensions, okay, all makes a difference in the sound of the guitar, right? Even your strings. Well, what if I took the D'Addario strings off of my Fender CC60 and put them on here? Would it sound like a CC60? No, they're not. They're still not the same guitar. Even if you were to build the CC60 to the exact same specs as this guitar, but use all the materials of the CC60, and including strings, they would still sound completely different, both guitars, okay? So that's where alone wood makes the huge difference. You know, your nut, your saddle, your bridge, all that makes a huge difference, okay? Even putting them both to the same scale lengths and same amount of frets, same spacing on the fret, all that, they're gonna sound completely different, okay? When you plug stuff in, that's when things change. Now, the Tonewood has still an effect over that amplified sound, but minimal in comparison to what it is non-amplified. Because you can shape and contour this sound now any way you want within the limitations of the control of your preamp, okay? And also, pickup location will also dictate a lot too. My pickup is actually under the saddle, and I know exactly where it is because I just had the saddle out the other day and I shaved it down. So if you look at my saddle, so I'm going to give you a view of this. I don't know how close up we can get. I just don't want to smack my computer screen. Now you compare that to the stock height saddle, that is almost half the height of what it was stock. I found that even though I wasn't going to change it because I kind of like, oh, it's a Martin and it sounds great the way it is, there was a little tiny bit of a noticeable sound difference with bringing it down. But the big thing is the strings were so high with the action, and this is a Martin thing, okay, that it made it very difficult for doing bar chords without having to squeeze the Vulcan death grip on the neck. So now I don't have to. Now it's... and I only need one finger for the F. Okay? Which feels a lot better than having to go like this and like this and... okay, same as up here. I don't have to do this. I can just... one finger. Makes life a lot simpler, right? So now my action's down a lot lower. And when we check at the first fret to the 12th, and just visualizing the spacing of the string height from the bottom of the string to the top of the fret wire, I could probably move that just like maybe a 1/16 of a turn would be perfect for my liking. Okay, now I like to set things low. I like them low. But this thing it's pretty darn close to my other guitars the way I have them set up. And I like that sort of a setup, you know? It's much easier to play. I can play for longer periods. I'm not destroying my fingertips, even though I do have callus. And I love the sound. And this is still the strings that came on it when I got it. And these are new strings. I bought it as a used guitar, but they put new strings on it. And they're nice. They're really nice strings. I like them. But if I change my strings, I'll change the tone of this thing too, and I know that. Everybody knows that. You switch to a different brand, different style, all changes, you know. Could be for the better, it could be for the worse. You know, that's why I have different strings for different guitars. Okay, I found out that this set of strings sounds the best on this guitar. That's what it's going to use, and same with the gauges too. And I don't use anything thicker than 12 gauge on my acoustics. I won't, you know. I don't feel like destroying my guitars, but that's a whole other video. We'll do that another day. We'll talk about that. But yes, Tonewood is real on acoustics, but there's that little but in there. As soon as you mic them up or amp them up, you know, with electronics, you change the dynamics of the sound, and so it's not going to be exactly the same, but it's still going to be a nice sound once you dial it in. And that's the thing, even though bass, mid, and treble here are all in the middle, do I like that sound? I think I need a little bit more punch on the bass, a little bit less mid. Just a little bit of bright. I think that's a good setting for what I like. Anyways, guys, got any questions? Feel free to ask. Do the best I can to answer them. But I think that pretty much concludes this as far as the whole, is Tonewood real on acoustic guitars? Yes, it is. But there's that little button there, okay? And anyways, catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Ciao.